I'm just up.
Well, you won't miss much by doing that.
Yeah.
All right, all right. Hello, everyone. Uh, thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. We're waiting on some more panelists to join us, but I have two panelists thus far. And if you want to introduce yourself, you more than welcome, Mr. Andrews.
Well, I'm Maurice Andrews. I'm a business owner and I own Next Level Vacations,
Okay.
and we, among other things, sell vacations, but we also produce an annual event in the Caribbean, in the Dominican Republic.
Oh, wow, that's wonderful. And you want to tell people when that event will be? You want to expound upon that as well?
Well, that event it will be in May. I believe the dates are May 24th through the 29th, and it's in Puerto Plata, Dominican Republic, and that's where we do it each year. And we've been doing the event for 15 years, so um, we just about got it down. So you can be guaranteed to have a good time. It's a 6-day, 5-night event on an oceanfront resort, six resorts in the complex, including 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bedroom villas.
Oh,
So
that's beautiful.
we provide a variety of accommodation types, and we like to think it's the most complete event of this type in the Caribbean. And I think
Okay.
if you experience it and you take a look, I think you probably agree with that. And our cost is also very competitive with all of the major events in the Caribbean. So that's what we do. We're in the vacation supply business.
Okay,
Nice.
that's wonderful. All right. Everyone that's joining us, welcome, welcome. Miss Rosen, you can introduce yourself and tell everybody about your business as well.
And my name is Rosine. I
Rosine.
have a janitorial business. We do commercial and residential clients, and the business is about 7 years old. And we're just out there having fun.
Having fun and making money. That's a beautiful thing.
I know we're having fun first.
All right. Having fun first. Okay, next. Miss Sarah, you want to introduce yourself and tell them about your business as well?
Oh, sure. I am all about having fun too.
Okay.
Health and wellness consultant, personal trainer, a fitness enthusiast, all things wellness and holistic. I love to share and help people reach their goals.
Okay. And the next panelist, London 77, if you want to introduce yourself, and we're going to go ahead and get started very soon.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hey, welcome, welcome. Just here to make things happen.
But we can't see you, London. What's wrong?
I'm on an old laptop.
Oh, okay. So you need me to send
I'm
you
on,
a.
I'm on a Lenovo flip book thing here.
Nah, he think the world
You
is out to get him.
need
Yeah, he's just trying not to be seen.
to
Yeah, he just think the world is trying to get him. Ain't nobody want you, London 77. All right. All right. All right. Every MF thing you need. You want to introduce yourself and bring your camera down. Okay, there you go. That's
I didn't
better.
even want to turn it on.
Why not? You look so lovely. Turn it on. You
Oh.
can introduce yourself because we're going to get the show started.
Okay. Well, I am every MF thing you need for this conversation
Okay.
today. So I am very excited to be a part of it.
Okay.
See
That's
my
wonderful.
waves floating.
Do you have a business you want to plug or anything, or are you just ready to get the topic going?
I'm ready to get up and going if y'all ready.
Okay, so let's go ahead and get the topic going. So, of course, we're talking about something horrific, and most of you all are in the North Carolina area. So I know this news hit y'all locally, even though the circumstances happen abroad. And Mr. Andrews, because you in the travel field, we probably going to get your expertise later on in this panel. Some of the precautions people need to take when they booking packages and things like that, traveling abroad, because fairly people normally go and they come back safe. But in this case, that didn't happen for Miss Shanquella Robinson, and that's definitely an unfortunate set of circumstances. So I've been following the story. I did a couple of videos on Miss Shanquella Robinson because initially, when she went to Mexico, she was supposed to go with friends, according to the family, and it seemed like on the video, it seemed like she was ambushed, and no family member want to see any of those circumstances that actually happened to her. So I found out some more information today about, and it's been reported on MSN. And let me share my screen because I want everybody to see this new information that we have, and then I want everybody to, to dissect what we have learned, from the, as well. Let's see, I'm trying to share my screen here.
So this is
To
breaking
act
news.
like it, figures out that it want to behave. What we learned today, well, this news actually came out, I believe, yesterday. And what
Okay.
basically happened was the friends actually stole $10,000 from her. And I think the set of circumstances. So I'm not sure if y'all can see my screen. Let's see here. Can y'all see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
If you can't, this is from MSN. If you can't see the screen, Shanquella Robinson friend says the people accused of murdering her stole $10,000 from her after she paid for the Airbnb. So not only do she go on some a trip with fake friends, they actually never compensated her for actually paying for a lot of the trip, and that's terrible. So it says Shanquella Robinson has become the leading topic of discussion on social media. It's only right because what happened to Miss Robinson needs to be discovered and justice needs to be served. Uh, while her official passing has been said to be fatal alcohol poisoning, her autopsy reads differently. Before her body lost all life, Robinson sustained a cracked spine and a shattered neck. To think when she agreed to go to Cabo, all Shanquilla wanted was to have a good time with friends. Instead, she wound up being a fatal victim. Shaquilla received support in the wake of her passing that she could have used in the last moments of her life. Earlier this week, her story began trending on social media, seeing how Robinson passed away while her friends, many people have been giving their opinions on friendships. There are many who have questioned how she did not realize these people were not her friends. On social media, there's a new video trending. The video shows the girl who eventually beat Miss Robinson walking through the house looking for her. Without any further report, her family is seeking all of the details in order to serve justice. As a result, they continue to press this case. Despite how painful it is, one of Robinson's friends who did not join her on the Cabo trip took to Facebook with even more information. According to this young woman, Robinson was also robbed of $10,000 by the people she trusted. In addition, the young lady says that Robinson is the one who paid for the Airbnb where they were residing. So this is who says this, Miss Kayla. They stole $10,000 from Quilla and she paid for the Airbnb, shaking my head. And their father confirmed that it's a second video showing Winter grabbing her by her neck, body slamming her. She never gave. She never got back up. So we go a lot of this. We are waiting on other panelists to to join us. But aspect, we're going to go across the panel. We're going to get your opinions on the aspect of friendship. People may want to hear this, the aspect of friendship, and when would you know that a friend is a friend, or it's time to tuck your tail and get away from it. So if anybody want to unmute themselves and go ahead and really get this show going. Anybody want to get a call out?
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Well, one of the things that my business does is produce.
Okay, anybody want to discuss? Yeah, everybody.
Trying to unmute.
I can hear you.
You can hear me? What about you, Antonia?
I can hear you.
Antonio might not be able to hear us. Can you hear
It
us,
looks like
Antonio?
it's frozen.
Well, it sounds like all
we can
of
hear.
us.
I can hear you perfectly.
Oh, you got it? Okay. Well, I talked about my business, but Next Level Vacations provides vacations, probably, mostly resort type vacations, including the Caribbean and including Cabo, San Lucas, where this event occurred.
Right.
We also do, well, first of all, I'll say, my business is nextlevelvacations.com and memorialdaygetaway.com. And Memorial Day Getaway is the annual event that we do in Puerto Plata, Dominican Republic. This was, I think, some of the data said a 7-bedroom villa where they were staying. And we also provide 7-bedroom villas in our event in May.
Right.
First of all, if don't take $10,000 in cash with you on a vacation. Now, I didn't hear you say that she actually did that, but they stole $10,000 from her, and she paid for that 7-bedroom villa, which on average, was going to cost anywhere from probably 15 grand to 20 grand for the week, divided by those 7 people. So when you're taking a vacation like that, you need to really plan who you're vacationing with. And it's never a good idea to take that much cash with you on vacation. It didn't indicate that she had cash that they stole, but I don't know how they would steal $10,000 if she didn't have it available with her. So on the idea of friendship, I can't see that these were all really her friends. It was seven people, I think. And one of the things that we don't do in our events that we do in the Caribbean, for instance, in a 7-bedroom villa, is to have people who don't really know each other to stay in the villa together. So you come with your friends, but one of the difficulties of a 7-bedroom villa at that price point is that's a lot of money for each individual. So sometimes people vacationing in large groups, to reduce their overall cost, they get together, even if they're not friends, because they want to vacation in Cabo San Lucas in a 7-bedroom villa. So I have to believe that all of these individuals in that room were not friends and didn't know each other that well. For someone to attack one of them that way, let me just say that's too much cash to be carrying. And I can't see where that was actually a friend attacking Shanquella that way. Always, if you're going to have that much money on the line and you're trying to reduce your costs, people sometimes stay with people who are not their friends and that they don't know them very well.
Right. I know one of the guys was supposedly her best friend of 5 years, and they went to college together. I think all of the kids or the young adults went to college together, Winston-Salem. They knew her parents enough to go over and have dinner at their parents' house. And then, what's odd is that it wasn't just one person that attacked her, or even just the two girls, because the guy, her best friend, was videotaping it. And someone else, I mean, you see him videotaping it, so someone else must have been taping it so that you see him. So the other two people are taping it saying, "Fight back, Shanquella, fight back," and she's not doing anything. She's just getting beat up and naked, and nobody's sticking up for her. It seems almost that it was premeditated to me, just because the way everybody was okay with it. Like they had already decided in their mind that this was going to happen, that they were going to at least beat her up for something. What is strange to me is that what could it be? And how did she not have any idea that everybody was against her? Like I might go to Cabo, and that was the last place I went before COVID, with some friends, and there was some hiccups with some of us. It was a big COVID thing, and some people were, really careful, and others weren't, and we didn't get along with some things like that. But of course, it never crossed our mind to have any kind of physical altercations. But I'm just curious, and would like to know if anybody has seen anything that shows what might have been the catalyst for everybody being so upset with her. Is it besides the $10,000? Do they just not want to pay her back for their portion? What would make them beat this girl up and film it and put it on YouTube and then lie to her parents about the alcohol poisoning and what have you?
Right. So that's one thing I never understand. Why do people film their own crime tapes? You go and you produce a lie to the family, and then when you produce these lies, you tell the family it's alcohol poisoning. From the autopsy, I have never read or heard that she actually had alcohol in her system. That's number one. Number two, Mr. Andrews, I don't think she physically had $10,000. I think she paid for it, and it was, I think, a total of 7 of them. They were supposed to compensate her back. I don't know how accurate the 10,000. It was reported on MSN, so it probably got some legs on it. So it may be some truth to it if it's on a big platform like that. It may be some truth. I saw the initial video where they was attacking this young lady, and she was actually indisposed. And for a father to have to see his child being attacked, not only were you attacked, but you were indisposed with the male in the room. It was a male in the room, and the camera was already being press play on the record button on that camera when she walked in. So why was it a male in the room, and why was he being like a cheerleader, so to speak, saying, "Are you going to fight back?" Then it's a third video where you see multiple people jumping on her at one time. And the young lady, Winter Donovan, is the one who actually picked her up by her neck and slammed her on her head. And she never, her father said she never got back up. So that's so much that you have to deal with when most of us probably got kids on this panel. And when you cannot protect your child, because your child is supposed to be away having fun, and there was no fun being seen on that crime tape. So if anybody else have any more questions they want to add to this, because
Can
as
I interject and say something if you don't mind?
absolutely. You unmuted. You can go ahead. Hello? Hello?
Oh, thank you. I just wanted to add this in as y'all, because I keep hearing you guys talking about what happened, what happened, what happened. But can you hear me?
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey,
We can hear you.
We
can
got you.
anyone hear me?
We can hear
Everybody
you.
can hear
I can
you.
hear you.
Okay, good. Okay, good. Because I'm really in this, what happened. But I'm tired of talking about everybody talking about what happened. But they
Mm-hmm.
said it's a reason behind why they did that to her. And I hate to have to say it, but they said, and it's only from what the comments say, what they say allegedly,
Okay.
that she set up the cousin to get killed
Okay. I heard that as well.
previously. You heard that as well. So what
I
we need
did.
to do is go back and find out who that cousin of the person who beat her down was. And what was the
But
circumstances behind? I don't know the cousin. I don't know nothing about it. I just go through the comments like we all are. But
but
I'm just kind
but I never led with that story because I have never, I see it in the comments, but I have never read any publication. I have never seen it on Instagram or Twitter with anybody posting any information that she was an accomplice to a murder. And even if she was an accomplice to a murder, does that constitute them going across seas murdering her? I don't think that has legs in this story, in this plot.
Yeah,
But you could get
that's a lot to take in there, and I don't think any of us really know exactly what happens. I think we do know that the Mexican authorities are investigating it, and the Charlotte district of the FBI is also investigating this incident. I think that there's been enough verification to say that um, she did not die from alcohol poisoning. She died
no.
from a broken neck,
Mm-hmm.
which indicates that the activity that we saw going on with her being beat up and
Cause
hit
her
in the back of
demise.
her head and the back of her neck. And I didn't see anything where she was thrown on her head, but multiple times, uh, you know, she was killed by blunt force trauma. Now, why? Um, now, as I said, I book 7-bedroom villas. I book vacations in Cabo, um, and it's important to know who you're going with. Now, if there's a backstory that the other panelists indicated that could be there, and I can only speak to kind of like what I'm familiar with. If you have 7 people on vacation and you cover all of that cost yourself, that that's a difficult position to put yourself in. But I don't see how someone would do that, cover all of the costs of the vacation, if she wasn't at least really close to some of those people. Not all of them, perhaps, but and one of the panelists said that she had known this individual for 5 years. They have all, I believe, gone to school together. Okay,
they went
so
to college together.
yeah, went to colleges together. So that's a lot of background for that kind of uh, trauma to be happening in a place that you're staying in Cabo San Lucas. It's just really hard to understand. But if, let's say, the background story is there's something to that, she had done something uh, back in the States that made 6 of the 7 mad at her, that it's hard to believe that she didn't have any indication of that before she went on the trip. So, it's really a difficult thing to understand, but it's a difficult position to put yourself in if
Mhm.
you paid all of the cost of that vacation, and um, you know, and then for people that you really didn't know that well, that's a tough situation.
Yep.
Man.
Well, let's introduce Miss Davis. Miss Davis, if you can unmute yourself and introduce yourself to the panel, and then I got something else to add to this equation.
Hi, everybody.
It-
I am Tiffany Davis. I am an author. I am an overseer. I am a minister. And I'm listening to all of this that is going on. And my resolve is our culture has shifted so much that you could be with somebody for 10 years and then see their character shift because nobody's really looking at character anymore. If we just jail, we're just going to have fun until fun ends. And it's just so disheartening to know that somebody's life ended like this.
Absolutely. Let me read something else. Let me share my screen one more time. And this is some additional commentary that I had pulled up already. And this is to add some insight to the story as well. Let's see here. All right. So, what I did not know, I heard it briefly, but I learned this on today. They say the doctor tried to revive Shanquella Robinson before her death. Police report expert excerpt shows. And it briefly says information for a police report saying Shanquella Robinson was alive when medical help first arrived at the vacation home where she was staying with a group of people last month in Cabo, Mexico. The report differs from details previously reported from 25-year-old Robertson's death.
You're cutting out a little bit, Antonio.
Obtained excerpts from a police that had not yet been publicly released. The information the observer by Prado Zaniga, and the investigative report works in Los Cabos and Metropoli. And Allison is a native who traveled on October 20. That commentary to the actual platform because it adds a little bit more insight that she actually was alive briefly after the altercation and a doctor was in attendance. So my question still is why in the world that the doctor was there, they still initially on her death certificate from Mexico say no foul play, but the doctor didn't see any type of foul play when you examining her in that room. You're going to tell me that there was no foul play. I call hogwash on that, and I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I don't believe that death certificate. And I think the only
Me
reason why.
neither.
Mm-mm.
Go ahead. Oh, me neither. Okay. And I'm gonna say this, and then I'm gonna let somebody else grab the mic. And I also believe that the only reason why this we're even talking about this, because initially they closed the case and say no foul play, is because the power of social media. Now, social media on one hand can be powerful, and And on the other hand, it could be demonic. So I think the power of social media is one of the reasons why this actual set of circumstances is the reason why that case read open.
Yeah, I believe the
Yeah.
autopsy.
Ms. Rosine, do you want to add some commentary?
Well,
Okay, go ahead.
that's a lot.
Whoever want to
This is a
speak,
lot.
go
I don't
ahead.
have any children, but I can just imagine what the parents are going through. But the word friendship
Right.
now, people use that too loosely. I probably have 5 friends. 5. I know a lot of people, but I probably have 5 friends. And to go into another country with people,
Okay.
and I guess it's somehow like that Scarface movie. Never underestimate the other man's greed. You don't know if it was jealousy. We don't know. We just don't know. Still not enough evidence. I mean, there's a lot. I don't know what to believe. I've been looking at the whole story, and I just don't know. I do know that there's a young lady gone too soon. Friends that may have not been friends, may have been enemies, jealousy. Who knows? I don't know. But one thing I do know that it's in a different country, so they're not going to handle things
Okay,
like the
so
United States.
What
Did
I
someone say?
think what they're doing, I think what
actually,
they
Miss
did.
Actually, when Ms. Lewis come back, I'm gonna introduce her. She actually is a family friend of the Robinsons. So when she come back in, we're gonna let her introduce herself, and we'll allow her to speak about what actually more insight that she may know about this scenario. So let's speak about let's bring Ms. Lewis back. I think she dropped off temporarily. Ms. Lewis.
Yes, I'm here. I'm
If
having
you
some
want to
technical
introduce
difficulties.
yourself,
Okay, I'm
that's
Jackie
we
Lewis.
it happens. I had one was okay. Is
All
there
right.
anything you want to lend any commentary towards this topic?
I'm just now coming in, so I'm not really sure what the topic is about, but I would assume that it's about the killing of Hubble.
Mhm.
Um, I lost 2 children to gun
The
violence.
killing
I
of
lost
Miss
my son.
Robinson. Yes, ma'am.
Hello.
Miss Lewis, you can keep going. You had anything? Yes, ma'am. We can hear you.
Okay, so I lost my son and my grandson to gun violence. I lost my son on December 22nd, 2020, and 3 months later, I lost my grandson. So it's really hard when you lose a child, and then 3 months later, you lose a grandchild. It's very hard. So I can only imagine what this family is dealing with, that they lost their loved one over in Cabo, and they're not getting the answers that they want. You know, um, we have really got to come together as a community, as the people, and do something different about what's going on in our community, because we are losing children left and right.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very hard. The holidays, I ain't gonna lie to you, it's been very hard for me. My son's birthday was October the 21st, the 24th, I'm sorry. And it's just been very hard for me since then. Trying to deal with the fact that
Yes,
my son
ma'am.
is
I definitely
gone,
understand. Happy.
and um and then more homicides continue to take place in the community. I was just at a shooting that took place up the street from my home, where probably about 75 feet from where my son was killed at. There was another homicide last week where 2 guys were shot, and one of them is deceased now. The 17-year-old, the youngest one, is deceased.
Oh.
So what do we do as a
No, that's
community?
sad to hear.
Right. What do we do as a community to stop all of this? because it's very sad when we're losing our children. And what people fail to realize is that not only are we losing our people, we're losing our generation. Like all our black males are being killed off. So what is that? And we're no longer the minority. So where is that going to lead us? I mean, people really need to stop and think about this.
Right.
We're no longer the minorities, and we're losing our black men left and right. So where does that take our culture? I'm a little confused. I'm a little lost. I'm hurt. I'm all of that because I don't know what's going on with our society. And if people don't start speaking out and talking about it, then we're going to continue to lose people and our loved ones. And we're going to continue to get on Facebook or YouTube and we're going to talk about it. But what is it going to solve? How do we solve the issue? What do we do?
Yeah, we need to
So
hold children.
I'm looking for answers because, like I said, I lost my son to gun violence. I lost my grandson to gun violence. And it is not so much about the gun violence, but just losing people in general, like Shanquella. You know, um, Shaquilla did not deserve what they did to her. That was outrageous. And I can't wait for the
Absolutely.
date for them to expedite these people back to Mexico and let them know that it's not okay to take someone's life. You took someone's daughter's life.
Yeah. I read that they did agree to extradite them.
Yeah, they did. Yes, they did.
So they will have to face it.
In
Well,
Mexico.
Yeah, they
well,
will have
actually,
to.
they didn't agree to expedite. Well, actually, they didn't agree to expedite him. I don't think they agreed to expedite him. I think the FBI gave them permission that if they
Right.
found them, that if they're going to
Guilty.
prosecute them, they can be extradited. So
Right.
it haven't been any break in the case yet, but I'm sure the American government is putting pressure on Mexico to prosecute this case. They got more than enough
Right.
evidence, at least, to take the trial, and that's important. The death certificate said in play. So when you say no foul play, it's no criminal act in play.
Right. Right.
I mean, if they don't get
Well,
charged and punished for this, I feel like this is something that we're going to see a lot more of. People
Right.
realize
This
this is an
this
option to get rid of people and you won't get in trouble for it, then they're going to exercise that option.
there's got to be a consequence.
well, the
There's got
Mexican
to be.
authorities will be the ones who prosecute because if this is murder, um, homicide, the Mexican authorities will prosecute that case under the authority of Mexico.
Right.
Now, one of the things that I think is important to understand also is that Cabo San Lucas is very interested in getting to the bottom of this because they stand to lose a lot of money if it is not resolved. They
Right.
want tourism to stay up. They don't want any unresolved issues, whether it's alcohol poisoning, and we know that there were a lot of incidents where alcohol poisoning was involved, and that's probably why the individuals involved went to that initially with the
Right.
family as she drank too much alcohol, she had alcohol poisoning. I think it's important to understand also that most of these resorts have medical staff there on the resort. They have doctors on the resort. So if there is an emergency, it can be responded to rather quickly. And I want to add a little bit more to what you were saying, Antonio, about there was a doctor present. She was alive when she got there. She did try to administer aid, but the other individuals in the room, according to some of the news outlets, asked her not to transport to the hospital and that she attempt to administer aid there in the room.
So
The
is that one of the people that were there in the room?
Okay.
The doctor? No, there were others in the room with Shanquella. The doctor responded to the call. They asked the doctor not to transport to the hospital, which the doctor had indicated would be the best course of action.
Right.
The doctor decided to try to treat in the room, administered an IV. Don't know what the medications were, but the IV did not have any positive impact. Unlike, many times here, if even if you're dead in the room, they're still going to transport you to the hospital and they will pronounce you dead at the hospital. But this particular article said that she was pronounced dead in the room by the doctor.
Okay, so I want to add some commentary and ask you a question. I want to ask you a question, Mr. Andrews.
Go right ahead.
Because the mother said that when they called and told alcohol poisoning, the mother said that she told them to transfer him to the hospital. The rebuttal from the friends was that the hospital wanted $5,000 up front because they would not accept an insurance. So I want to ask, for people that's going on vacations, if you can lend Terry, how does it work when you need to go to a hospital? Would you need cash money or do they accept insurance? Can you speak on that?
Many travelers can buy insurance for any of the trips that they take. Many of the travelers' current insurance policies will cover any of those costs incurred internationally. Now, all policies are not the same, and the hospitals there understand what's covered and what type of insurance will cover what. So we don't know what type of insurance she had or whatever, but I've never heard of a situation on any of our trips or any other travelers who have been refused transport to the hospital because of insurance. I'm not saying that couldn't occur, but again, I want to go back to my other comment about Cabo San Lucas doesn't want that to be happening in terms of a patient being
because they make their money off of vacations.
Cabo San Lucas wants to get to the bottom of this, and they will work with those Mexican authorities to prove out that autopsy that said she died from basically a broken neck. Okay, so there's video evidence of trauma being applied. So I think this is going to get resolved, and Cabo San Lucas is going to be pushing it. The Mexican authorities are going to want to resolve it. Okay, but it doesn't answer the question about why in the world would these other 6 individuals stand by and watch this occur. One of our panelists said that, well, I may have 5 friends total in my life. Okay. Well, that's not unlike a lot of us, probably. Okay. Got a lot of associates. And one of the things that, yeah, I'll add is that, um, in addition to the insurance piece, is that we have to be careful who we end up taking 7 days vacation with, or even going down to the club together, because
Mhm.
everybody's not your friend, even though sometimes when you think they are.
Right.
And this looks like one of those situations where she
Okay,
thought
so
she was with 6 friends
that's set up.
and they weren't.
Okay, so
But it's
I
big
found
as
commentary about insurance.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Did you ask another question about
Somebody was going to
insurance?
say something.
I was
No,
gonna
I
say it's
found some
bigger than
information
like
about insurance.
them being friends or not being friends. Like we could all go on a vacation together. We're not friends. We don't know each other, but we're also hopefully not murderers. Somebody might get something stolen. You might get left out and miss the taxi cab home because you're not acting right. You might even be yelling at each other and get put out. But being about that life is
You
a
want to come?
different,
You still come back
whole
alive?
different situation.
Yes.
So I feel like the issue here is more what is going on. I mean, speaking of what Tiffany said and what Miss Lewis said, like what is going on with this generation or with certain kids that their consciousness is just unfathomable to us now, unrelatable, that there's not a respect for life or their life or their so-called friends' life. I mean, why are these kids just that, I want to say broken even or empty or what they're
Well,
missing that love.
I talk to a lot of these kids. I teach school, so I talk to a lot of the kids, and a lot of things that are going on are from home and what they experienced at home and how they feel about their living arrangements. And some of them are angry. Some of them just don't want to. Uh, they don't want to be identified as a snitch. It's just so many different things with these youth now. The young man who killed my son because my son broke up a fight. And I was there when he broke the fight up. And he said to my
Wow.
son, I'm going to come back and I'm going to kill him. And I heard him. My son didn't hear him, but I heard him. And I thought, is this kid serious? Well, little did I know that at 11:57, I was going to hear gunshots ring out, and it was going to be my child laying on the ground 35 feet from my home.
I'm sorry.
You
That's
know, I
sad.
never thought that was really. So when people say they're going to do stuff, when I look at all of these school shooters and all of this stuff, when these guys say that they're going to do something, we have to take into consideration what they're saying. And are they really going to do it? Do they have a plan to carry it out? And once we find out those things, that they got a plan to carry it out, we need to start contacting people immediately. Because this is something that these kids think about before they do it. But what they don't think about is the aftermath. They don't think about that you're going to go to prison, just like the people that killed Shanquella. They didn't think about that they were going to be expedited back to New Mexico. They didn't think about that. They just thought about how we're going to get rid of her. And so when they finally did get rid of her, now what do? So now we need to call mom and find out from mom what we do. So they were all a part of it. Not just one or two, but all of them were a part of it. And I think when you're all a part of something, especially a homicide, you all need to answer for it.
Played a role.
That's right. Everybody played a role. So everybody needs to answer for it. There are consequences when we do things that are not appropriate or not right, especially when we take someone's life.
And I
There
just
are
want to jump in to say, and you're absolutely right, because there's no consequences. These children have raised themselves, and
exactly
so they grow up with no respect for anyone or any other thing, and so they lose the value of life. And I think that's why this type of thing just like jumps off like this. Nobody values life, nobody values each other, and so you're an expense that somebody can just shoot you, you're gone, and who cares?
right.
Because that's the who cares about anything these days type of thought process, which is sad. um the church is non-existent
Oh,
in their lives, and so the respect that we would have for God, we don't have for each other, we don't have
right.
for our state, for our brother and sister, for the police, or any of that. And so as our generation grows, we lose the respect. I mean, the grandma that was the grandma is now 35 instead of the grandma being 55. And
Right.
so all of that
Mm.
type of thing has shifted over, and we are losing our young people because we have to stand up and be grown adults ready to mentor now.
Right.
I you
Um,
know my mentor was 55 and 60 when I was 18 or 19.
right.
Now it's up to us to mentor those that know what to do.
I was at a homicide about a week ago that happened, and I couldn't figure out why mom was there. Why was mom there and she knew about the homicide? She was there when the homicide took place. She saw her child get killed. But mom, why were you there? Our children are not our friends. Our children
Absolutely
are our
right.
children.
That's right.
I'm not going to take my child to a gun somewhere you can buy a gun from. I'm not going to do that because you're not my friend, you're not my peer, you're not my colleague, you're not any of that. You're my child. So why would I take you and put you in a situation where you are going to purchase a gun, and little did mom know that he was going to be killed that night,
That's right.
and she took him to that scene. So what we as parents need to understand is that our children are not our friends.
That's right.
And somewhere along the way, we got confused,
Mm-hmm.
or I don't know if the parents got confused or if the children got confused, but we got confused about who's the parent and who's the child.
Right.
Well, let me say something about one word you use, and that is mentors. Um, this is a very complex subject in terms of why are we where we are in our community. But I believe part of that is, as you indicated, your mentor was 55 years old. Uh, Mentors can be um, certainly any age for a 15, 16, 20-year-old kid, someone who can help them understand how to recognize situations that they should not find themselves in. And if they find themselves in that situation, to separate themselves from it. And that's what you were getting at, is that why was mom there?
Right,
I mean, mom should have never been there. The son should have never been there. And be able to recognize when things are going the wrong way and separate yourself from it.
right,
Now, I don't think we'll come up with an answer for what the solution is, here, but I think each one of us, just by showing the responsibility we have by being here, we have the potential to choose someone to um, be a mentor for. And that's one of the things that has to be the way organizations like Big Brothers, Big Sisters, Boys and Girls Clubs, um, which are in many of our communities, but our young men, young women don't take advantage of it. So we got
No,
to
they
find
don't.
our way to
I don't.
mentor
I don't think a lot
individuals
of them know.
about
I don't
that.
think a lot of these kids. I don't think it's being advertised enough that those programs are there. And I think that's we got a hot so if you're doing something in the background, just go to mute your mic. You come back and unmute when you're done. But I don't think that a lot of our kids know that those programs are there. I don't think they do as good enough job to say that they were there when I was a kid. When was the last time have you seen advertisement flyers or anything about big brothers, big sisters? You don't see that, and that's just the truth.
Are they?
So the kids
But the
don't
way
know to lean on. They lean on now. So what they lean on now are gangs, because the gangs are making themselves visible. You don't have a dad at home. You don't have a mom at home. I could be your OG. We got your back. They are making themselves known, and they do absolutely nothing positive for the community, but big brothers, big sisters. When I was a kid, you had what is Forex? Girls Club had what the one for something similar type Boys and Girls Club. They make themselves
4-H
known.
club,
They came out of the community. They did work. What is it? The Forex,
4-H
the
club.
Forex Club, right? Exactly. And
Yeah,
4-H Club,
yeah.
right? And it is an unity. Before we get off topic, I do want to lend some information about if you are traveling to Mexico. Can I use my U.S. health insurance in Mexico? No. In most cases, you will not be able to use health insurance you have in the U.S. for treatment in Mexico. Your American health insurance policy, such as Medicare and other type of policies, will not extend outside of the American borders. So if you're traveling outside of the American borders, you probably want to pick up a temporarily insurance plan, because in her case, I'm talking about Miss Robinson, when she went to Mexico, it probably was true that it was a $5,000 fee. And that goes like if you're on a ship and you down different countries and food poisoning, or you get any of these type poisonings, they are going to send you to a hospital that your insurance probably won't cover. I just want to add that commentary. So just to back that up, what we were discussing.
Yeah. Can I add one thing? Yeah, I think that is
Go.
true.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that is true. But also, and everybody doesn't have insurance, and everything, but uh, that is true on the primary insurance. If you have a supplement or you have a secondary insurance,
Okay.
that is what would kick in and help cover the cost of an international uh, emergency. So Medicare, you're
Okay.
right, but other supplementals, and I'm aware of that because mine does. Okay, but then you're running into, if you don't have insurance, primary, secondary, or whatever, buy insurance when you take these international trips. Make it part of your
Okay.
cost.
Okay. So it says, what type of travel insurance do I need for Mexico? And this is probably what you're talking about, Mr. Andrews. It said comprehensive travel insurance for Mexico is what you need as your travel health insurance, and it can help you avoid huge expenses due to a true medical emergency. So let's put that in the
Yes.
chat. So if you are traveling overboard to Canada, Mexico, and those type regions, you will need uh, comprehensive travel insurance. So that's just something that I just want to lend to into the platform. Maybe somebody might look at this video later on. They can see what type of health insurance is needed and clearly see there. So, um,
And there's a lot of
Miss
people out there selling travel
Miss
insurance,
Miss
so it's not hard to find.
Fine. Okay. So, Miss Rosine, you've been quiet for a little while. Let's some commentary on uh the topic. Miss Robinson. How do you think this could have been avoided? And I know we playing Monday morning quarterback. She's no longer here, and it's unfortunate. But how do you think this could honestly? You there, Miss Rosine?
Oh, you asking me? Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't
Yeah,
hear
you
it.
don't sleep on us.
I'm here.
Yeah, we
I'm getting
can. Your,
close.
your
I'm
voice got to
telling
be
you,
listening to us as well.
I'm rocking
I
back and
know,
forth.
I know you not. You that 5 o'clock calling you. I
We
can
know
see.
you get
That's
up
why I called
early.
on you. Then we're gonna go
Yeah.
to Miss Sarah.
Well, no, I can answer.
Then we're gonna go to
How do
Miss
I think
Sarah.
this could have been avoided? I mean, you really don't know what somebody's going to do until they
Absolutely,
do it, right? So, it's just a lot to process with
absolutely,
this whole thing going on, about this, these guys, hurting their friend, and you just don't know. I mean, you just don't know.
But was she a friend? You think they were friends when you see the
Well,
circumstances, not
you
just the
know
death.
what?
It's just that
Sometimes,
she was ambushed when she walked in the room.
Mhm.
well, you know what? She
They
probably
were not her friends. They were called frenemies, not
they,
friends. Frenemies.
Right?
well,
That's
Exactly.
what they were called. Frenemies, not friends.
well, she probably had, they probably all hung out at the same club
Absolutely.
and went to church every now and then. So, and but you really never know what somebody's going to do until they really do it. And at this point, it looks like these guys could have been jealous of her at some point.
Exactly.
She was successful, building her brand and whatever she's doing. So, you just, like I said, you never can tell, you know, where the enemy is going to creep in at. You
That's
never
why
know.
they're called
And then if
frenemies.
it was alcohol influenced, who knows? They all could have been
Now
drinking. And
I'm gonna go to next. So
go ahead.
So
well,
you guys
she
don't think
had
that
no
there were
alcohol in the system though. Her autopsy showed no alcohol.
Well, you know what? You're in a foreign
Go
country.
ahead.
They just want to get it over with. Who knows if who's telling the truth, at this point. And if, she probably could have been saved if she went to the hospital. But if she didn't have the money, who knows? I mean, she probably would be here now. I mean, she, might have had, some difficulties somewhere, but who knows? She probably could have been saved. And her life was worth more than $5,000. So if the hospital wouldn't accept
Absolutely.
her for
Miss.
$5,000, I mean, she could
Hey,
have
can you hear me?
she could have been saved, and a little bit of money.
Yes, we can hear
You're
you.
in a foreign country, and that's another thing. You're in a foreign country, things happen, and right now you don't know who's telling the truth. You don't know about the medical report. That's a little sketchy. The friends' stories, they try to put it together. That's a little sketchy. So you have all these broken pieces.
Hey, I got a question. Hello?
Go ahead, Mr. London
All right.
77.
Okay.
Go
Hey,
ahead.
a lot of people look at this and say different things, give their opinions, discuss a lot of theories, hypotheticals, possibilities, maybes. But let's just keep it real in this situation. Okay, so and I'm gonna ask Roseanne first because what she told me today, I said, boy, she tough. So Roseanne, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, so let's say if you book a trip with some people you knew, whatever, and you were in the room with one of your friends, and a person was getting literally beat up. Would you have recorded it or would you have stopped the fight? Because that's what I have a problem with. Why did they record it and say fight back instead of stopping the fight? Go ahead, Rosine. What's your thought on them recording it?
I would have tried to intervene and stop the fight. But if you're going to be that person to step up, then you're really going to have to be able to handle what's coming at you. But the moral of the story is these kids got out of control. Things happen. We don't know where it started. It could have started right here on U.S. soil. I don't think it started with just that room, being in that room. I think it started before they left the U.S.
I
Yes,
totally agree. And
yes,
there
it
were
did.
some red flags, and
Yep.
somebody
So
ignored them.
I agree.
And
yeah,
her friend asked
Agree.
her, her
started
best friend
before
asked
they
her
got
why
on.
she was going out of town with them.
I agree.
So
I
there
agree.
undoubtedly had already been something going on because her best friend wanted to know, why are you going out of town with them?
You
So if
can't
your
buy
best friend
friendships.
who has known you since kindergarten is
Her
asking you
boyfriend
a
also
question about like why are you going with them and you already know that they have issues with you, why are you going with them? I didn't
Mm-hmm.
figure that part out. Like you already knew these girls and these guys had issues. Why would you go with them to Cabo? I didn't understand that part.
But here's my
See, I didn't
question.
know that because I thought one of the guys, I thought one of the gentlemen. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I thought one of the guys was her best friend.
Well, he was supposed to be. That's when
It
frenemies come
was
in.
one of the guys was best friend. Absolutely.
The one who said, "Why aren't you fighting back?"
He took family vacations with the family.
Right, and said, "Why aren't you fighting back?"
Right.
Because she did
So
not
he
want to
took
fight
family
from the
vacations
beginning.
with the family.
Well,
But
it's
the way
true
she got
that
beat up, it looked like she was. It looked like she had been. She was out of it or even asleep because she didn't have clothes on.
Right.
But the question is, if you're with people, why are they not going to break up the fight in the room? Who are you going with? How well do you know these people? Do you hang out with anybody? No. But let me ask this next question. Here's the next question. What do you guys think about why did these idiots leave her there, lie about the alcohol poisoning when she had broken body parts, come back to North Carolina and say they didn't know anything, try to drop their phone calls, whatever. Now the FBI's picked it up. Pure, absolutely stupid. What you guys thought on that?
Well, they thought they was going to get away with it. They thought that with
Well,
them being in the country, it was going to work out for them, but it didn't. What they didn't realize is that you're in the wrong country to be committing a homicide. You're in Mexico. My mom is a very light-skinned woman. She has gone to Mexico several times, and the last time she went, they wouldn't let her back on. They wouldn't let her back over. And that was a big problem for my dad. So when you go to another country, you have to be well aware of what's going on in that country before you get there. And what they didn't realize is that they thought they could go to Mexico and they could kill Shanquella and they could come back because they were right back on a flight back here within days.
Mm-mm-mm.
So what made you think you could go to Mexico and kill her and then fly back to Charlotte and tell
now
her mom that she was alcohol poisoning?
TV.
And mom didn't believe that anyway.
Yeah.
well,
The
go over
Mexican
that,
authorities weren't trying to prosecute or hold
Miss.
them, so they were really lenient with them. It's
Well,
their
we
yeah.
started sending out messages because I am an organization. I am a Stop the Gun Violence organization. We did start sending out messages to where you can contact the U.S. Marshals and other different people to let them know how you felt about that. And it wasn't until that happened that they started to talk about it
Right,
because this was kept undercover for like 2 weeks.
right. So it does seem like they thought about it a little bit, and they were
Where it
close to.
goes deeper than that.
What was that?
Where it goes deeper than that, the best friend, can y'all hear me? The best friend
Yeah,
actually went to the mother's and father's house 4 times, and he
right.
actually brought the murderers to eat at the table with the mom and dad. So they actually, when they got back from Mexico, cried with the family. They ate
Yes, they
food at the
did.
mother's and father table with the
Oh my
family.
goodness. That's
The
great.
mama said she did not believe none of them because all of these stories were different. But that the so-called best friend brought the murderers to their house and to eat at the table. The boyfriend also left a message on Twitter, and he was like, he got to get to media because he can't believe the so-called best friend was in his face lying to him about alcohol poisoning. He said that he wouldn't he would have killed him. That's in so many words. That's what he said.
Okay, so that's what
So
Shaquilla's boyfriend
I
said.
don't even absolutely, but he couldn't go because I think he was a felon, so he couldn't go on that trip. So he said he trusted what the guy Malik, I want to say that's his name. He said he trusted him with his girlfriend, not knowing that he did not protect, and he lied to everybody. So
Right.
that commentary is also a part of this, and it's unfortunate that everybody couldn't even keep their story together. And the problem is, and you could talk about this, Mr. Andrews, when you do a crime in another country, that's probably not what you want to do because the jails are not up to par like America, even though the American jails are not up to par, and you're probably going to do hard labor in some of these countries.
I mean, think of Brittany Griner.
Right.
Are you there?
On a much lesser crime, and when is she going to get out of it?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
right.
And many times, most of the authorities are corrupt. So including the policemen who are investigating this occurrence and everything else. So you don't want to be doing that. That's why felons can't get passports. That's why her boyfriend couldn't go. He couldn't get a passport because he was a felon. But I wanted to address one question that you asked about how could this been avoided? You know, a lot of things went wrong. A lot of things would have to come together to prevent this or avoid this in the first place. And one of the things is, you know, don't be a felon, but and so you can get a passport. The other thing is, and I said this earlier, I just can't see these people as her friends. I mean, you know, so if you're going to travel internationally and you're traveling as a large group, you need to make sure you know these individuals, okay? And as we said, you need to also, if you don't have insurance coverage with your insurance that you have, you need to buy insurance because, and I'll go back to the event that we do, the Memorial Day Getaway.com. And we advise all of the individuals of these same things. Buy travel insurance. Travel with friends that you know, because we have accommodations from a single room to a 7-bedroom villa like this one was. And it's very difficult it's expensive for one thing if you're in a 7-bedroom villa. So with that much money, you need to make sure you can depend on the other individuals. And I would also suggest, don't take it on yourself to pay the $10,000, $15,000 for everybody to go on this trip if you're expecting them to pay you back.
That ain't going to happen.
Probably not going to happen in its entirety right away. So avoid that if at all possible. Does that mean
does that
mean you can't get the 7-bedroom villa? Don't get the 7-bedroom villa. Get a 4-bedroom villa for whatever. On our event, and we've hosted up to like 1,000 people. Okay, and many of the most of the attendees are female. Okay, it's probably 70-30. Many of these women who attend this trip, they would not be in the same room with that many people. I'm just telling you. So if that is not for you and you don't believe you can trust, and
Absolutely
these
not.
are not really your friends, get your single room. We have people who actually come together. They know each other, but they get them a single room because they're going to be there, and it's going to be a big party, a lot of stuff. These all-inclusive resorts, you got alcohol available to you all day, all night. It's just a different environment, so you need to plan for that. Get you some travel insurance in the event that something does occur. Make sure you know the individuals that you're traveling with. If you get that travel insurance, make sure it's available in your passport. When you have problems, they go get your passport. Where's her information? So make sure you know who you're traveling with. Get you some travel insurance. If you're not comfortable with the individuals in the total group, get your single room. It's not going to be more expensive than a 7-bedroom building. So, but those are some of the things that could have been avoided. But let's just say, if they had a vendetta against Shanquella, they could have beat her up and killed her in her own room. Okay, we know that. But you have to look back and say, well, what could have been done differently? And those are some of the things that could have been done differently.
Can I just kind of jump in? We have to make sure that we can take care of ourselves.
Go ahead.
Ooh, girl. Oh, girl,
Okay,
say.
okay.
Because I am not getting ready to be anywhere that I can't take care of me. I can be with 1,200 people. I can be with 3 people. I am always important to who I am. And no matter where I go, I'm bringing me back home. And so when y'all were talking about she was paying for all of this and doing that, there was a little part in her that wasn't secure in herself if she was putting herself all the way out like that.
Exactly.
And so I am always going to take care of me because I got to bring me home. And I'm going to fight for me because I'm the only me I got. And I'm important. I am valuable. And all of those types of things I don't know that this young lady had because something was missing that she was codependent on them for. And so
She was the only child.
She wasn't. She had a sister. No, she has a sister.
She has a sister from the mother, but from the father, she was his only child. Let me fix that.
Bernard, I know I'm familiar with this case. Like I said, I have very close connections to this case. Bernard is her dad, and her mom had 2 daughters. 2 daughters.
Okay.
The older one and the younger one. But by dad, there was only Shanquella.
Right.
And in our society, we focus on what mom has when it comes to our children.
So you're saying she was not prepared to go on a trip like this?
No, she was not. First of all, if you're going to take a trip like this, know who you're going with. Everybody is not your friends. And same thing that went on there happens right here in our own city. Right here in our own city. But we don't really pay attention to it because there's so much going on here. But when this went out to Mexico, we just dropped everything and we started paying attention. So is that what it takes to get our attention when a child is being taken away from us? To go out of the country and come back on a plane where you're laying down in a casket? And it's happening to our own children right here in Charlotte, North Carolina, or wherever we may be at. So we got to get a grip on our children and what's going on in our society, period. Period, bottom line.
because they didn't even have to go all the way to Mexico to kill her.
That's the truth.
They ain't have to take that girl all the way to Mexico to kill her. See, my son got killed around the corner, and at the time he got killed right in front of my house. He didn't have to go to Mexico. When my grandson got killed, he got killed in front of his mother's house, right down the street from my house. We didn't have to go to Mexico, and we saw it. So what I can say is that this family, they know that I have feelings for them and all of that, but that did not have to happen in Mexico.
Yes. We
are the same
who we
people,
hang out.
whether we're geographical,
Okay, so
whether
let me
we make that
let me
geographical
read.
change or
Sorry.
not.
I think one of the key points that's being made there is that this individual may
Hello.
not have been ready for a trip of this type. May not have been, it may have been her first trip out of the country. And
She's been traveling.
be careful.
No, she's a traveler. She traveled lots of places.
Graduated, yeah. She
traveled lots
No,
of
she was
places.
travel. She traveled a lot.
Well, that
She traveled a
lends
lot.
itself, that reinforces some of the other points around.
Okay, so I know it's getting late, but I do want to read this. This is something else I want to read briefly, and I know, like I said, I know it's kind of late. Doc, and we briefly read this, but this was actually from the New York Post, and this is something that I want to touch on because the other article didn't speak about this. It says Charlotte native Shanquella Robinson's death certificate claims she died within 15 minutes of suffering a spinal cord injury while vacationing last month at the swanky Funderos Beach Club. But this is something that I didn't know. The person who summoned help was listed as Winter Donovan of Greensboro, North Carolina, one of the 6 friends believed to have traveled to Mexico with Robinson. The doctor said Robinson, who she was told had drunk a lot of alcohol, had stable vitals signs, but was dehydrated and unable to talk. I can't pronounce the name. Told the group she wanted to transfer Robinson to a hospital, but the friends insisted that she treat her at the villa, where the doc tried to administer an IV without success. So I definitely want to read that aspect because it sounds like to me that her life probably could have been saved. But once again, these Vorcha friends were the very people that probably blocked her survival the second time because the doctor wanted to take her to the hospital, but was told no. And we're going to wrap it up in probably about 10 minutes. But if anybody want to lend some last minute commentary to what I just read, you're more than welcome.
Well, it's kind of 2 questions there from what you read. One, did they stop the treatment that caused her to die? But 2, it could have been an accident. Did they mean to kill her? Or were they just going to beat her up? But they took it too far when that Winter dropped her from her neck and caused that spinal cord in that neck. Did they freak out and call the doctor and hope that she was going to be okay? And then when they realized that they had killed her, they were scrambling and then had to come up with a story and figure out what they were going to do now so that none of them get in trouble, because they all knew. I mean, they knew they were filming and they watched it and they all got their piece. So it begs that question. I think
Ms. Davis, you want? I'm sorry.
Well, I was saying that the wake up call for this is that, we talk about Boys and Girls Club and our broken homes and have you and pouring into kids. And these were kids that went to college, that had both of their parents, that traveled, that had successful businesses. I mean, that you don't necessarily consider at risk for this type of behavior. Thinking if it's showing up in them, we really need to think of our community as a whole and society as a whole and really address what is missing that is going to allow somebody to do something so heinous, even if it's an accident.
Absolutely. Miss Davis, you want to add some commentary?
I'll piggyback to say that everybody wants to talk about the influencer, and who's on TikTok and who's on this and who's on that. But we are all influencing somebody, whether we know it or not. And so I have taken it upon myself to be the best person I can be. And so that if I am the person that's going to plant that little seed of hope, that they'll get it from me. That's what I provide to the people that I touch, the people that I come in contact with, and me just being who I am. And so if everybody that has value can reach somebody or touch somebody, then I believe we can turn our society, I believe we can turn our community around, because love wins. And when we take the love that's in us and touch somebody else, I believe somebody is encouraged. I did want to say, if the young lady whose son and grandson passed away, my condolences to you and your family in this season, can be of grief and holidays and things like that. And so I want to submit to you that I will be in prayer for you and your family, that you won't feel it as heavy as you normally would this
Thank you.
time of season, because it can be rough, and it cannot kind of weigh on you real heavy. And so I am going to be praying for you and your family, along with Shaquila's family, because these are the times that we have to reach up to God and realize that all of our help comes from Him. And so I have enjoyed my time and my space here this evening. I'm going to continue to do what I can do in the community to make sure that I make sure that my mark is there.
Absolutely.
Man.
I'm gonna close out with Mr. Andrews, but Miss Rosine, do you have anything you want to lend to any commentary?
I think I don't.
You
Just
don't. You
grateful to be here and hear, everybody's views on what's going on in our society and how we all can work collectively as a society to work to try and fix this matter.
absolutely, Miss Lewis. I'm gonna close out on you, Mr. Andrews. Miss Lewis, can you lend any commentary to what we discussed this evening? I know that you have been through a lot and you know the family personally. And I know there's certain things you cannot indulge just because you know the family, but maybe you could just lend uh lend some words before we close out.
Um, know your children's friends. That's what's really important. Now, a lot of times our children don't want us to know who they're hanging out with, or they want to be really private. But build relationships with your children, because it's very important. And I
Right.
learned that it's very important to have relationships with your children um, after I lost one. But I'm not saying be friends with your children. I'm saying build relationships with them, where you could talk
A-
about stuff that's
That's
going on,
good.
that that's positive, and you can encourage them to do things. But build relationships with your children, because we as Black folk, we don't know how to do that. We wasn't taught that, you know.
Absolutely.
And so we need to learn how to not be our children's friends and agree with everything that they do, but to build relationships with them.
Absolutely. Miss Sarko, do you have anything you want to lend? Any commentary? You go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tragedy, and pay attention to what your kids are going through. I agree 100% with Miss Lewis. that we have to
Absolutely.
invest more in our children, and we can't just rely on, or underestimate the power of the media and video games and having a felon boyfriend and, hanging out with people that may or may not mean you any good.
Absolutely. And finally, Mr. Andrews, you're a traveling expert. You offer traveling packages. Is any last commentary you want to lend before we end this podcast tonight?
Well, yeah, I just want to thank all of the participants because it's been, I think, helpful. It's been enlightening to all of the participants. And I think I always have to go back to and reflect on my personal experiences and experience in my travel business. I have never heard of a situation like this before occur.
Right.
It seems almost unbelievable that it could occur, but it did. I want to give you some other examples of our Memorial Day getaway event. When we book individuals or groups, and I love it that it happens this way, but many times the mothers will call me. They want to know who their daughter is traveling with, who is producing this event. Are there going to be other individuals in the room? Or so I've experienced that personally and I don't have a problem with it. And obviously, I guess the daughters don't have a problem with it, but they call and see who's producing this event? Who are you traveling with? I mean, what kind of people are they? Particularly if it's their first international trip. In this case, this individual was an experienced traveler.
She traveled a lot.
Yeah. But the same can be true. Who are you traveling with? Do you know these people? Yeah. And as I said, we don't force individuals to room with anyone they don't know. The motivation to do something like that is to reduce your travel costs. I'd be willing to book a room with someone else that I don't even know if it reduces my costs. We don't do that.
Wow. Okay.
Okay. The cost is the cost. We're not going to force you to room with someone that you don't know. There's just so many things that can go wrong on an international trip of that type. So it's best to just get it all clear up front. Make sure you know the individuals that you're traveling with. The moms ought to get involved and find out who you're traveling with. Who's producing this event? Who is Next Level Vacations? And I get more than one of those calls. So, and I love it because it's the kind of safety that we want to provide. So this situation is just really unbelievable almost. And there has to be a backstory here somewhere. But one of the participants here said, we got to be prepared to take care of ourselves. And
that was Miss Davis.
Yes. And we got to make sure we know who our friends are. And if you're not comfortable traveling with these people, call it. I mean, there'll be another opportunity for you. So buy that travel insurance. It seems like an unnecessary cost because this vacation is already costing me a lot of money. buy the travel insurance and check your existing insurance, because many times if that primary insurance does not cover the cost of an emergency, the
You need to add
supplementary
it.
or the secondary will. Um, so travel's not cheap, you know, and we shouldn't treat it that way, you know. But and another comment tonight was know who our friends are, you know, and know um, who our kids, our family are associating with, and be a mentor. Step in and ask some questions, be an advisor. It's difficult to have these conversations sometimes with the younger folks of today, but it's got to happen. You can't
Right.
be on the sideline and then when something happens, come in.
You want to ask questions.
And
Okay.
that's and we're gonna leave it there. But would you be open, Mr. Andrews, to do a show 101 so we could speak about the precautions of traveling? Because a lot of people are getting geared up. They see a lot of their friends, family travel, but they don't know about the precautions. So I think it'll be an excellent idea to talk about all of the dynamics of planning a trip, what's expected, the precautions, so you can get back safe. And I think that'll be an excellent interview so people can understand the different precautions. But Miss Rosine is falling asleep, her head is nodding back and forth, and and we're gonna if you're open to that, then we
We
can
can
set
talk about
something
that.
up. Yes, sir. So we've been on an hour and 36 minutes. I appreciate all the participants. With everything that happened to Miss Shanquella Robertson is unfortunate, it's tragic. She went on a trip that she thought she was going with friends, and she went with fake friends. And Mexico is treating this as a femicide. And
Yes.
what you know, if a femicide is basically treating it as was she murdered because she was a woman, and that's may have a lot of weight going forward. So we're going to end it here. I appreciate everybody again. I appreciate London 77, even though he had to drop off. And we're going to do this again. So the next show, you can email me personally or email Ken if you got some ideas on the topic, and then we can schedule another show on y'all timeline. So we're going to end it there, and we're going to see you on the next episode.
All right. Good night.
All right.
Good night.
All right. Good night. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Night.